Hey everyone, how's it going? So Shedinja, it's one of the weirdest Pokemon in the entire game. Its gimmick is simple. It always has 1 HP, but it has the ability Wonder Guard, meaning only super effective moves can damage it, at least directly damage it. It is a Ghost Bug type, and that means Ghost, Dark, Rock, Fire, and Flying are the only moves that can directly damage Shedinja. Anything else has absolutely no effect on it. And I'm going to try to beat the entirety of FireRed and LeafGreen with it. But you might notice a couple things. 1, the footage looks terrible, and 2, I picked Bulbasaur, not Shedinja. Well, the reason is simple. This was the second ever solo run I had done. I didn't actually know A, how to get really good quality footage out of Game Boy Advance games. I didn't even have the Retron yet. And B, I didn't yet know how to modify my starter. So what I actually had to do was, using a Game Shark, force Shedinja to appear in the wild. Now on this route, there are Pokemon that can appear at level 5, and because Shedinja has just 1 HP, I can't damage it. And ordinarily, you can't even catch Shedinja in the wild, so you don't realize how terrible a catch rate it has. But thankfully, after 48 minutes, because this is being played at regular speed, remember back when I used to do that? Those were fun times. But I finally have my Shedinja. But unfortunately, that was the easy part. Now we actually have to defeat Brock. So here's the thing. Brock having rock Pokemon actually isn't a big deal in theory. I mean, junior trainer Liam, the Light Years trainer, he has a Geodude, and we easily defeat it, because Geodude doesn't actually learn a rock move until later. The same thing will be true of Brock's Geodude. The issue is going to be the Onix. Onix, well, you know what, let me just show you the first Brock battle. Now, AI trainers are very interesting when it comes to Wonder Guard. If the Pokemon they use cannot damage you, they will swap into one that will. And that's why Brock immediately swaps into Onix. And this is when I realized this was not going to be a quick run. Because, obviously, with Scratch, we're not going to one-shot Onix. But Onix, as long as it hits, will certainly one-shot me. Now, I can hope for a couple misses here and there, but even though Leech Life does get the same type bonus, and it isn't resisted by Rock, it's still doing nothing. Onix has exceptional defense. So I guess the obvious answer is I'm going to need to level up a lot. But more than that, is there a move at least Shedinja could learn that could help us? Unfortunately, the answer is a hard no. Shedinja's next move that could even theoretically help us is Confuse Ray at level 31. And I would hate to have to go all the way up to level 31. And the next damaging move would be Shadow Ball at level 38. If I have to go to level 38 to beat Brock, that is going to be a nightmare. However, there is something else I can do that will help me. On Route 22, there is a 45% chance of Mankey appearing. When you knock out a Mankey, you get 1 attack EV. Now, EVs are the hidden stats of Pokemon. You can put up to 252 EVs in a given stat, which will boost it immensely, but you max out at 510, meaning at most you can only max out 2 EVs. Thankfully for Shedinja, there's only 2 EVs that actually matter, attack and speed. We're not really going to be using special attacks. Shadow Ball in Generation 3 is a physical attack, because all ghost moves are, just like Leech Life is a bug attack. So we shouldn't need any special attack EVs, and we definitely don't need defense, special defense, or HP, because we only have 1 HP. So, on Route 22, you either get speed EVs from Spearow or Rattata, or attack EVs from Mankey. And slowly but surely, as we level up and as we get more EVs, Shedinja's base 90 attack should allow this to be done a lot sooner than level 30. Of course, the question we all want to know is how much sooner? Well, I go to battle Brock again, this time at level 14, and it's not making a huge difference. I mean, okay, we're doing a lot more damage, but what's that, 1/16th? I think we need to do at least a quarter. 3 Rock Tomb misses after we get up a sand attack is about a 6% chance, which not good, but I can work with 6%. But as it looks like right now, even getting to that 6% is going to take a very long time. So back to training. Well, I try again at level 16, and this battle goes a lot better and gives me quite a bit of hope. I actually, as you're going to see, use 2 sand attacks instead of just 1, and because of that, I'm able to get Onix almost to half HP, which I know, I'm cheering about getting one Pokemon to almost half HP, but if you consider how bad the battle at level 14 went, I still consider that significant progress. Also, before you guys pointed out, yes, I have a bit of a cold. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best to sound good. But unfortunately, when you're making 30 straight days of videos, I can't take a day off. And I'd like to think the raspiness is a bit of a positive thing. Soothing, if you will. But anyway, you know what's not soothing? The fact that this has taken me like 7 hours. And again, being played at single speed. I can't believe I used to do this. So let's battle Brock again. And to be honest, this battle at level 18 was quite disappointing. I mean, we do a little bit more damage, but we don't really make any real progress. We need to be significantly higher. Again, I would like Leech Life to be doing about a quarter. If it does a quarter every time, we can maybe get a crit, 3 a KO. We only have to rely on a couple of misses as we talked about. Right now, without crits, Onix is probably still going to be a 5 or 6 hit KO. Most likely a 6 hit KO. Not good enough. All right, another hour of leveling up. We are now at level 21. Also, remember, we don't get the running shoes, so we can't actually run yet until we defeat Brock. Just a ton of annoying stuff. Now, something else I forgot to mention is Geodude doesn't always swap immediately. Sometimes it stays in and then swaps. I'm not sure why sometimes it happens right away. Other times it doesn't, but that's why it's just easier to go for Leech Life on the first turn. And you can see it's doing about 20%. I go for another Leech Life, and it looks like it might be doing up to 25%. Brock misses. I go for another Leech Life, and while I don't think it'll be a 4 KO, it doesn't actually matter. Brock hits me with a Rock Tomb, but this means we're really, really close. 1 or 2 levels more, and we should actually be able to do this. I level up one more time, and it's important to mention that Shedinja is part of the erratic level up group, meaning it takes the absolute longest in the early game to level it up. Even longer than the slow level up group, which is fun. But anyway, as you're about to see, even at level 22 with base 90 attack and a ton of investment in my attack EVs, it's not quite gonna be a 4-shot with Leech Life. I mean, if I got a clutch critical hit, it would be less, but the point still stands that I probably should level up a little more. That didn't stop me from trying 10 times, mind you. I just never got closer than the battle you are seeing currently, meaning one more shouldn't hurt. After another half an hour, because don't forget, the Pokemon I have to level up against are between levels 3 and 5, we finally battle Brock again. This time he withdraws right away. I go for Leech Life. It's doing maybe a quarter. Go for Sand Attack, Rock Tomb misses. Go for Leech Life, Rock Tomb misses. Go for Leech Life, Rock Tomb misses. And we knock it out. Finally, that is the battle. Other than Feebas and Ruby and Sapphire, I don't think I've spent longer on a single gym in my entire life. But finally, after all that training, all that leveling up, we can make it through to the rest of the game. And we can get the running shoes. We can run. And that will be fun. All right, I'll stop making jokes. Because the rest of the game isn't going to be a joke. Because we're level 23, even though there are Pidgey and other things that can damage us, we're so strong that we just one-shot everything in our path, so we don't really need to worry too much about any of the trainers. Now, while it would make sense to battle Misty, I wanted to get a feel for how bad Rival 2 would be, because unlike in Generation 1, Pidgeotto has Gust, which in this game is a flying type attack, and thus can hit Shedinja. Now, even though I'm level 26, the best move I have still is Scratch, and it does just over half to Pidgeotto, so a critical hit, which is 1 in 16, that would work, but without that, Pidgeotto is always going to win. Luckily, I do have a couple rare candies and an easy place to level up, because nothing in Misty's gym can actually damage Shedinja. In fact, the scariest Pokemon is Shelder, because it can confuse me and then I can hit myself in confusion. But Goldeen doesn't know Peck, so we actually can't get damaged by Goldeen, but more importantly, we can't get damaged by Misty. Now, considering you're not supposed to have a Shedinja in this game at all at this point, let alone this early, I can't really blame Game Freak for not giving Misty some sort of move to hit Shedinja. But to be honest, with how long it took me to defeat Brock, I feel pretty darn justified having a free battle against Misty, because as we can tell, Rival 2 is not going to be free at all. And to that end, we are at level 29, but Scratch still isn't doing enough. And we're going to actually have to go back to the grass again in order to level up a little bit more, which sucks. Now, part of the reason it took me so long to release this video is I realized I made a big mistake. All I needed to do was to teach Fury Swipes, which is worse than Scratch. 18 base power, 20% chance to miss. One of the most common outcomes is 2 hits, which is weaker than Scratch. And then you got to deal with that 20% chance it misses. But against Pidgeotto, if we would have just reset, eventually we would have got a 3-hit and we could have knocked out Pidgeotto without having to level up to level 31. And if you remember from way back when I talked about at level 31, we got a move that could have been helpful for Brock. And that move is Confuse Ray. Unfortunately, even if Pidgeotto hits itself in Confusion, which is only a 50-50 chance, and we're at level 31 hitting with Scratch, it's still not guaranteed to knock it out. Finally, and it seems like we just can never get a critical hit. What happens is we get Confuse Ray, it hits itself in Confusion, we get Scratch, don't knock it out, and then it hits itself in Confusion. Charmander comes out, we confuse it, and it goes for Ember. This is getting really annoying. Finally, after like 20 more attempts, Confuse Ray hits itself in Confusion. Scratch, critical hit. Wow, that's a thing we can get. Confuse Ray hits itself in Confusion. Scratch, knockout. Next is Abra, it can't hit us, we use Leech Life. And next is Rattata, it can't hit us. This has taken an exceptionally long time, guys. While the in-game timer says it's taken 5.5 hours, in reality, it's taken substantially longer because of all the times I battled and reset, closer to 7 hours. And we've just made it past Rival 2. This is going to be quite the run. Thankfully, though, we're so overleveled, we basically get to go on a victory lap. And once we defeat the Rocket, we're going to get Dig. Things are going to improve. Now, one thing I should mention, I'm going to skip way ahead. On the SSN, there's this trainer with 2 Nidoran. Nidoran has the ability Poison Point. And the thing with Shedinja is, although Nidoran cannot directly hurt a Shedinja, indirectly with Poison Point, it's a one-hit KO. So this is something really important to keep in mind. It's not just that we can't get hit by certain moves, but anytime we either hit ourselves in Confusion or get poisoned, it is an instant loss. Now, eventually we don't have to worry about Poison Point because while Shadow Ball is a physical attack, it doesn't make contact, which is the precursor to the physical special split. However, I made a big mistake, and this is the big reason I didn't release this video. I was very mad about this. Sure, Fury Swipes was a mistake, but this was a huge mistake. You can see I'm using Dig, but you may have not noticed I actually had deleted Scratch instead of Spite. I will delete Spite for Shadow Ball, but what I should have done is deleted Confuse Ray. Or better yet, I should have just battled Rival 3 and not gotten cut, because the one thing we need Scratch for is Rival 3, because think about the moveset I'm going to have. Shadow Ball, Confuse Ray, Leech Life, and Dig. None of those are good against Pidgeotto. 2 of them Pidgeotto is immune to, and the other one is a base 20 power move it resists. To make matters even worse, I forgot to get the TM for Secret Power, and now the only way to get it is to have Cut, which in order to do, I need to beat Rival 3, which I can't do because I don't have Secret Power. So I messed up so badly, and I was so angry about this. Because don't forget, this was only the second solo run I ever did, and I was so embarrassed to show you guys how badly I messed up. But in hindsight, I am kind of proud of how I was able to recover. Because I was. And it was using a method you may not expect. Meet my new teammates, an army of Meowth. Each one has the pickup ability, and one of the items you can pick up specifically in FireRed and LeafGreen is TM10 or Hidden Power. I have no idea what Hidden Power I have. I have no idea if it's good. Hopefully it hits Pidgeotto, but that's my only chance right now. So I need to battle wild Pokemon, take the items off my Meowth. Every time I defeat a Pokemon, each Meowth has a 10% chance, so roughly it should be about a 50-50 chance we get at least one item, and and, you know, if you do that long enough, you'll encounter a shiny Pokemon. We have gotten incredibly lucky with shinies in these solo runs. Unfortunately, I can't use this right now because we're doing a Shedinja run, but I can trade this to another game and hopefully get it some use. That's really funny. But, alright, let's skip ahead and show you guys how the Hidden Power strategy worked. Because, of course, eventually I did get Hidden Power. I'm level 41, way above what Pidgeotto is. Hopefully whatever this is one-shots, it doesn't. 3/4 isn't bad, a critical hit will knock it out, but whatever this is, it's not great. Well, it took me many more attempts, but eventually, what I did is confuse the Pidgeotto. It hits itself in confusion. Then I use whatever this Hidden Power is. It gets a critical hit, so that didn't really matter. Great. Should have just tried to reset for a critical hit. Whatever. Now we have Charmeleon, and I'm going to go for Dig. So, Charmeleon uses Ember. It misses. I go for Dig, and it one-shots. That should be... I think Raticate might have Pursuit. So, perhaps there's one more Pokemon we need to worry about, but I don't think so because Kadabra just got sent out. I use Hidden Power. Still want to figure out what it is. It's neutral. So, it's neutral to Pidgeotto. It's neutral to Kadabra. Still not really sure what this thing is, but at least we're going to win. We'll figure it out eventually. And finally, we have Raticate. I'm just going to use Dig. Unfortunately, I've been hit with Kinesis, so I could miss. But eventually, I will hit. Raticate did not have Pursuit. And at level 42, we make it through the SSN. And, oh god, this has taken a really long time. But, like Misty, Lieutenant Surge can't do anything to us, so let's just skip ahead to his battle, since we already know we can't lose. Actually, I think Voltorb has Rollout, but it doesn't matter. Shadow Ball is by far our best attack. It's only base 80 power, but like I've said a couple times, it is a physical attack. So it's taking advantage of Shedinja's massive base 90 base attack. Because of our EV training, and mostly because of how high level we are, we outspeed, and we're going to one-shot absolutely everything with Shadow Ball. Easy victory. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering what that Hidden Power was, it was Hidden Power Water. Don't know the base power, but if it's super effective against a fire type and neutral to a flying type, there's only one type that does both those things. So that actually will really help us possibly against the famous Hiker with the 2 Geodudes and a Graveler. Not because of self-destruct, because of rock moves. And in this one, he actually gets a name, Hiker Dudley. But he's just going to go down like a thud. I don't know. I use Hidden Power, and it's double super effective. So there's very little he can do. Now, finally, we make it to Celadon City. And what are we going to do first? There are so many options. Well, after doing some shopping, I decide to battle Erika. Why? Because I'm pretty sure, yep, Shadow Ball does one-shot Victory Bell, and I even have taught Aerial Ace, TM40. It's not going to be a great move going forward at only 60 base power, but against Erika's Pokemon, it's going to be plenty useful, and it knocks out Tangela with its pretty high defense in just one hit, and thus, unsurprisingly, it also knocks out Vileplume. At this point, because of how much we struggled in the past, we're so over-leveled that the foreseeable future, I think, should be really, really easy. But the next trainer is going to give us a little bit of a run for our money. Giovanni has 2 rock Pokemon. Can we beat them? Now, I did delete Hidden Power Water for Aerial Ace, but I don't think it's going to matter. I'm going to use Dig, and we do knock out Onix in one hit. That means we will also knock out Rhyhorn with its much weaker stats, but Kangaskhan, I believe, knows Bite. I go for Aerial Ace. Don't forget, in this generation, Dig is just base 60 power, and unfortunately, we only do about 75%, despite the fact that we are almost double Kangaskhan's level, and it does no bite. So this could be a problem. After 5 more failed attempts, including ones where I used Confuse Ray, I decided to go to Saffron City and to go and battle the Fighting Dojo. Unfortunately, I can't complete Pokemon Tower without the Sylph Scope in this game, but this dojo still does offer some trainers I can beat to try and level up a little bit more. I don't think it'll really make too much of a difference, since we weren't all that close to knocking out Kangaskhan, but I don't really know what else to do. I mean, I guess there's also some trainers I left on Route 12. I almost never battle these trainers, but this is one of the hardest challenges I've done. Might as well try to get as many experience points as I can. Well, it's a good thing I went to Route 12, because I got a very useful TM that allowed me to beat Giovanni that I didn't even consider. So, we're going to knock out the Onix with Shadow Ball. Yes, that's right, Shadow Ball one-shots an Onix. And then against Kangaskhan, we're going to go for Return. This is base 102 power, and our friendship at this point, considering we caught this thing at level 5, should be maximum. So that led to a one-hit KO. Very, very good. Kangaskhan was the perfect storm of difficult, bulky defensively, and immune to Ghost. There shouldn't be too many Pokemon that fit that bill, thankfully, and Shadow Ball should help us most of the way through. But this was our first speed bump in a little while. Not a trainer we usually struggle with, but that's the fun of a Shedinja run. You never know who's going to be a trainer that's going to give you a hard time. And speaking of which, we haven't battled Rival 4, usually one of the easiest trainers in Red and Blue. I know this is a different game, but still under-leveled. You have to think he'd be easy, right? Well, he leads with Pidgeotto, and Return is easily going to one-shot. We're more than double its level. But this is where we encounter a problem that is unique to Generations 3 and beyond, especially in Kanto games, Gyarados. It knows Intimidate, and lowering our attack by 1 stage is devastating. It is only at level 22, and we actually get a crit, which I don't think mattered, but I'd like to know for sure, so I'm going to reset the fight. So after we knock out Pidgeotto again quickly, you're going to see that I was correct. It is a one-shot against Gyarados. Against Charmeleon, we have Dig. I think Shadow Ball would have done the trick, but that's okay. Shadow Ball is super effective against Execute, and it's super effective against Kadabra. So Rival 4 did end up being easy, but the Gyarados is going to be a huge problem going forward, and I'm not excited to battle the 5th rival, who in Red and Blue is known as Rival 5. But we're a little ways away from that. We still do have to battle Koga. Unlike what I usually do in solo runs though, I battled everyone. Routes 13 through 15, Cycling Road, and I leveled up a ton. I'm anticipating this battle being difficult since if I'm poisoned even a single time, I lose. Well, as always, Koga leads with his first Coughing. I have to go for Shadow Ball here because Dig doesn't hit Coughing with Levitate, and thankfully, we're almost double its level and we knock it out in one hit. The next Pokemon is Muck. I should note that Shadow Ball and Dig do roughly the same damage. Shadow Ball is 80 plus 50%, which is 120. Dig is 60 times 2. They're not exactly the same, but thankfully, it looks like either of them would have one-shot Muck. 2 down. We already know Coughing number 2 should easily be a one-shot. It is, and now it's up to Wheezing. We don't have to worry about self-destruct. We do need to worry about Toxic. It has very good defense. I don't think this is going to one-shot. Oh, okay, never mind. It did one-shot. Well, that shows you why I leveled up as much as I did. And frankly, if it wasn't for Koga, I would need to level up for Rival 5. Because Rival 5 is much, much harder. Pidgeot, Gyarados with Intimidate, Charizard. This is going to be unbelievably difficult. And I don't even know if at level 71, it'll be good enough. So I probably should just battle everyone in Sylph Company. And you know what? Even before I head to Sylph Company, I can battle all the trainers on the way to Cinnabar Island. I don't need to battle Blaine yet. But these trainers are all swimmers. They're going to be very easy to defeat. And they give a ton of experience points. Now, once I got to Cinnabar, I actually decided that I could do the Pokemon Mansion, and once I did that, I decided I could battle the trainers in Blaine's gym. Why the heck not? I'm really over-leveled, and my attack is super high. Might not beat Blaine, but experience points are experience points, and I'm already here. And you know what? I am already here. Why not try to battle Blaine and see how it goes? Now, Blaine leads with Growlithe, but like Gyarados, Growlithe has Intimidate. So my attack is cut by 50%, yet I still knock it out, and I level up to level 74. Ponyta, thankfully I get a critical hit, don't think that mattered, knock it out. Rapidash, don't need a critical hit, I knock it out, but Arcanine also has Intimidate. I go for Dig. I think that one mattered. In a run like this, I'm not going to complain about first trying Blaine. It's hilarious. Sabrina is a much easier gym. I mean, there's nothing her Pokemon can even do to me. And yet, honestly, just to see if I could, I end up beating Blaine first. That feels pretty good. Now, because I beat Blaine, I actually do have the options to do the Sevi Island side quest. I didn't even realize you could say no to this, but it doesn't matter. Rival Fivel is going to be unbelievably tough. I might as well beat every single trainer I possibly can first. So let's go do this. All right, now that I'm done with all that, time to go to Sylph Company. And there's still a lot of trainers to battle here, and you know we're gonna battle them. Finally, I decide it's time to battle Rival Fivel. Let's just see how this is gonna go. He leads with Pidgeot at level 37. I obviously have Shedinja, which is more than double. I go for a return, and thankfully we do one-shot, and we level up, so we're going to be at level 78 for the rest of this fight. Next comes out the Gyarados, and this is the scariest Pokemon, mostly because it uses Intimidate. So I have Shadow Ball, I'm going to use it, and it knocks it out. That's good, but there is still Charizard to worry about. Speaking of which, here it is, level 40 Charizard. I go for Shadow Ball. Minus 50% attack does not matter. We knock out Charizard, so I don't know if I over-leveled a little too much, but I can tell you, we have beaten Rival Fivel first try. Execute, I think could use Leech Seed, but we're going to one-shot easily, and Alakazam can't even damage me if it wanted to. So, that's pretty good. A little bit unsurprising and maybe anticlimactic, but this is not a solo run. This is one of my quote-unquote impossible challenges. I don't even know if we're going to be able to beat the Elite Four, and I might as well try to make things a little easier on myself. It's not as if I haven't struggled against other trainers in the past. Someone we're not going to struggle against is Giovanni number 2. In fact, he actually switches in his Rhyhorn, but it isn't going to matter. This could be a nightmare if we have to use Return, but like we talked about, Shadow Ball, while it is a physical move, it does not have contact damage attached to it, so we don't have to worry about Poison Point, and we can use that to sweep through Giovanni's team. Now, let me tell you, eventually, our level is going to catch up to us, by which I mean we're going to hit level 100, and we might not one-shot. And unfortunately, towards the end game, that kinda is what we need to do. We're going to need to one-shot things, or we get one-shot. It's a very stressful run with a Shedinja. There's no margin for error. There's no tricky strategies, really. A lot of the time, if you don't one-shot and the Pokemon can hit you, it's over. So we got to keep that in mind. We still do have a couple gym leaders left and Rival 6. They shouldn't be very difficult, but let's make sure. The only Pokemon I'm vaguely worried about is Venomoth, but thankfully, since Kadabra can't attack us, Sabrina instantly swaps into Venomoth. We do one-shot it, and so Venomoth is not going to be able to do anything at all. And if Kadabra's coming out second, that means nothing Sabrina has can damage us. Of course, we could just look up the movesets on Bulbapedia. I do know the movesets off by heart in Red and Blue, which is often why I make mistakes, because they are a little different, obviously. But for this battle, it really didn't matter. We were going to outspeed, Shadow Ball is super effective, and we can move on to the final gym leader, Giovanni number 3. This should be also very easy. That didn't rhyme well, whatever. Giovanni leads with Rhyhorn as he does in Red and Blue. Shadow Ball knocks it out, even though it's a physical attack. He puts out his second Rhyhorn, which is a Rhydon in red and blue. We knock it out. And now none of his Pokemon can damage us. We'll knock out Dugtrio, which we're outspeeding. We'll knock out Nidoqueen with no fear of Poison Point. And we'll knock out Nidoking. That is 8 gym badges. Our level is a bit high at level 81, but I don't even know if that's enough for the Elite Four. That's how scared I am. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This might not be possible without using like Double Team, which I really don't believe in doing unless we absolutely have no other choice. I am getting a little ahead of myself. We still have to defeat Rival 6, but based on the way Rival 5 went, we shouldn't really have any issues. I hope. Alright, you know the drill by this point. He leads with Pidgeot. We still have Return. We use it. 1 down. Next, we got Rhyhorn. Shadow Ball should one-shot. It does. 2 down. Next is Charizard. Wait a minute. Does Gyarados no longer have a damaging move that can hit us? It must not. Because, yeah. Oh my gosh. We don't... I'm sorry. I need a second to process. So the reason the Pokemon come out in the order they do, as you've seen, is the AI will always use the Pokemon that can damage us first. And the Rival has always sent out the Gyarados prior to the Charizard. So since I saw Charizard, I knew Gyarados couldn't possibly damage us. Obviously, since it used Hydro Pump, that was correct. And so this battle went even easier. But, in victory, I can find the cloud amongst that silver lining. We didn't one-shot. And that's going to matter because Lance's Gyarados does still no bite. It is Shedinja proof. And while this wouldn't actually be possible in earlier generations, the move relearner does exist in Generation 3, and the Champion's Gyarados does again no bite. So the fact we're not one-shotting, and the fact those are higher level Gyarados, yeah, this could be an issue. And you know what? I don't normally do this, but because of how this run is going to go, let's look at the movesets of the Pokemon we're about to face. So Lorelei, Dugong and Cloyster no Hail. That's a one-shot, so we need to 1-KO both those Pokemon before they use Hail. Lapras can use Confuse Ray. Otherwise, nothing Lorelei can do to me. For Bruno, Onix knows Rock Tomb, as does Hitmonchan and Machamp, but the second Onix can't hit me, nor can the Hitmonlee. Agatha, well, her Ghost Pokemon know Ghost moves. Golbat knows Bite and Confuse Ray. All her Pokemon can hit me. But we should have an easy time, although Arbok with Intimidate may be a problem. And then Lance, there are 2 Pokemon that are an issue. Gyarados with Bite, and then Aerodactyl with Ancient Power. The Champion, there are a few Pokemon that can be problematic. Obviously, Pidgeot has Aerial Ace. Rhydon now has Rock Tomb. Gyarados has Bite. And Charizard has Fire Spin, Aerial Ace, and Fire Blast. In other words, none of these fights are completely free, but I do anticipate some of them being relatively easy, especially considering how high a level I am, and heck, I might need to level up even more. So now that we've talked about what we can expect, let's see how it looks in practice, and go battle Lorelei. Alrighty, so she leads with Dugong. I'm going to go for Shadow Ball, see if it one-shots. It does. That's good. Next comes out Lapras. It doesn't one-shot, and it goes for Confuse Ray. I don't care about the Citrus Berry. We do knock out Lapras, but now comes Cloyster. We don't one-shot, and it goes for Spikes. That's kind of weird. I don't know why it thinks that's going to work. I guess it doesn't know Hail's a one-shot. The AI might not be advanced enough to realize that strategy, but it works for me. Thankfully, I'm not confused anymore, so I can knock out Cloyster, and there goes the battle. The last 2 Pokemon can't actually damage me, so on our first try, although it was messy and can be improved, we did beat Lorelei. Bruno leads with the Onix I actually have to worry about. I go for Shadow Ball, I get a crit. Don't know if that matters. Hitmonchan, we knock it out in 1 hit. Machamp, we don't. Now, I do have a way to beat Lorelei a lot easier. You see, I can just equip Person Berry, and then Lapras can't confuse me. But I don't know if Cloyster will go for Hail. If it never does, then we actually just win after we beat Lorelei. Oh, it did go for Hail. Okay, so it does know how to do that. We're going to need to do something else. All right, here's the something else. So, we're going to go for Shadow Ball. We're going to one-shot Dugong. Same thing as before. Good to see that's not a range. Now we're going to Shadow Ball Lapras. We have the Persian Berry, and so we're not confused. Citrus Berry doesn't matter. Knockout Lapras. 2 down, level 86. Now Cloyster, we're going to go for Giga Drain. It doesn't knock it out. Okay, so I think we need to level up. I mean, I think I can do it without leveling up, just requires a bit of luck. So let's try once without leveling up. So knockout Dugong, here comes Lapras. You've seen this before. Shadow Ball, Confuse Ray, heal with Persian Berry, knock it out. Okay, so here's where we just have to have Cloyster use Spikes. And there we go. We have Spikes. Full Restore is fine. Shadow Ball is doing more than Giga Drain anyway, so there's no point. I went for Return just to preserve my power points, but we knock out Cloyster, and so that's Lorelei. Now, Giga Drain could come in handy against Bruno because it's double super effective against the Onix. Still, Machamp could be difficult. I don't really have anything specifically for that. However, it is a 20% chance to miss. I'm going to get rid of Dig. No longer need that. And, well, let's just see, because I want to see if we make it to Agatha, whether it's automatic that we'll get to Lance. So, okay, here's Onix. Giga Drain does one-shot. That's not surprising. Next comes out Hitmonchan. Just like last time, we one-shot, but it's the Machamp that's the issue. We don't one-shot, but Rock 2 misses. Okay, so Bruno's going to full restore. That's not important, because since we outspeed, we actually, wow, Return does about as much as Shadow Ball. It doesn't matter. We're going to knock out all of Bruno's remaining Pokemon, and we're now level 87. And Agatha should be a joke. The only Pokemon I could consider being maybe challenging is Arbok because it has Intimidate. And it's a good time to see whether that's the case or not. Because if that is the case, then we definitely have to level up. There's no choice whatsoever. If it's not the case, maybe we can get away with a little bit of luck strats. So we outspeed, we one-shot Gengar, unsurprising. Next comes out Arbok, and of course it comes out next. We don't one-shot Bite. Okay, so that's what I wanted to know. Now, I have been saving rare candies, and I have enough to get up to level 94. So level 94, we're still going to one-shot Dugong, and we're probably going to one-shot Lapras. We don't, but we still have the Persian Berry. Lapras is going to heal. This isn't a big deal. Would be nice to one-shot, but who cares? We can knock it out with Return. Cloyster, we should one-shot now. Goes for Protect. Now, we don't one-shot and Hail hits. That's not good. Thankfully, I always save before I use rare candies, and there's a bunch of trainers I've actually skipped, if you can believe it. There are trainers in Victory Road, and there also are the swimmers south of Fuchsia. I never ended up continuing back to Fuchsia. I stopped at Cinnabar. So we can level up quite a bit more. Remember, like I said, Shedinja levels up super quickly, relatively speaking, at high levels. So now we battle Lorelei, and we're at level 98. Very close to the maximum. We knock out Dugong, of course. This is a big moment of truth for us. We do knock out Lapras. I don't know if it's a range. And then Cloyster uses Protect. See how much experience we gain, by the way? Another Protect. We knock it out in one hit. We're almost level 99. In fact, after we knock out Slowbro, I believe we will be level 99. So we're going to be level 100 probably before Agatha. We can knock out Jinx. And so while that battle went well, let's hope the other ones do, because we're basically at level 100 at this point. If the battles aren't going well, there's very little I can do, really. It's going to be awful if Gyarados walls us. So yeah, let's hope for the best. But we haven't even gone past Bruno really consistently. So let's hope that happens this time. All right, like last time, we're going to use Giga Drain on Onix. That's one down. Next, we got Hitmonchan. Shadow Ball knocks it out as before. Moment of truth. We do knock out Machamp. Okay, so we now know we can make it consistently to Agatha every single time. We haven't actually made it past her. She was the one I thought would be easiest. So let's hope we one-shot Arbok. I am positive we will. And then we got to worry about Lance's Gyarados, but one thing at a time. Let's go battle Agatha. I only have 6 Shadow Balls left. We only need 5. I knock out the first Gengar in 1. Now comes out Arbok. Intimidate sucks. I go for Shadow Ball. We knock it out. I think we're good. Gengar, we knock it out. The only one I'm scared of is the Golbat. There is Golbat. There goes Golbat. Okay, so we have consistently made it to Lance if we're at level 100. That is good. If we don't one-shot Gyarados, that will be bad, because that basically means I need to rely on a critical hit, and Aerodactyl also could be a problem. So this is a little bit scary, but there's nothing I can really do at this point other than see how it goes. All right, it all comes down to this. We use Shadow Ball. It survives, but it goes for Twister. What? Why? I didn't even know it. Why? All right, do we knock out Aerodactyl? No. And it one-shots with Ancient Power. Why did it go for Twister? I'm actually really confused. I thought they always need to go for the super effective move. What do I do? I just realized, like, what do I do, actually? We can't get White Herb, which I wouldn't want to use anyway because I'd want it for the champion. And while I can get Spell Tag, it would require me to use Thief on Haunter that only carried 5% of the time. So that could take a really long time. But since I have no other options, there's really only one thing to do. I don't know what lies ahead, but there's no time for guessing. We gotta get the Spell Tag instead. Trust me. All right, I'm done. But the point is, yeah, as annoying as this is, I'm going to delete Confuse Ray, teach Thief, and try to get a Spell Tag. Haunter is not a very common encounter, but just a maximum of 15% on the top floor where you find Mr. Fuji. If I wanted to go faster, I technically could catch a Pokemon at level 20, have it faint. I don't know if that would break the rules or not, because technically that would require intentionally using it to either have it at the front of the party or have it faint. I don't know, so I just didn't do that, which is annoying, but it would have sped this up quite a lot. Thankfully, I actually got insanely lucky. It only took me half an hour of actual normal time to get this. Don't forget, playing at single speed, so that would take me about like 5 minutes, which is more than acceptable. So very lucky we got the Spell Tag as quick as we did. 15% encounter, 5% chance. Only a 1 in 133 chance that any given encounter will be a Haunter with Spell Tag. But considering we found a shiny Pokemon in this run, you know, we're just really lucky today, I guess. Well, let's hold off on that. To be quite honest, I would much rather save our luck for the Elite Four, which is where we're headed right back to. And hopefully we do better now that we have a 10% increase in our Ghost-type attack. Alright, even though I didn't save between encounters, I don't need to show you the first 3 Elite Four members. You've seen them a lot. Let's skip ahead to Lance. So Lance leads with Gyarados. Please one-shot! No. What do I do? I mean, do I just hope for the crit? And will one-shot Aerodactyl? What's going to happen against the champion? How is this going to work? Well, I had just one more trick up my sleeve. You see, like I said, in Generation 3, there is a move relearner in the Sevi Islands. You just need either 1 big mushroom or 2 tiny mushrooms, and he'll teach you a move you already forgot, like Confuse Ray, which can help us. On the first floor basement of Mount Moon, the only Pokemon you can encounter is Paris, so unlike trying to find Spell Tag, this does not take very long at all, and I went to the move tutor and taught myself Confuse Ray. And as I was hunting for those tiny mushrooms, I had an idea. First off, I installed new software for my Game Boy player, which is a GameCube peripheral. Long story, but look how beautiful it looks. That is sharp. But the other thing I realized is I could go to Celadon Mart and buy Hyper Beam. It is risky. Once you use it, you can't move for 1 turn, but while Shadow Ball effectively has 120 base power, well, I guess 132. It's a little more complicated than that. Hyper Beam still should be doing more damage at base 150. So if we need to deal just a little bit more damage, Hyper Beam should help us out. The question is, are these 2 things going to be enough? All right, well, Lance sends out Gyarados. I'm going to go for Confuse Ray. It hits itself in confusion. This should knock it out. It does. Now comes out Aerodactyl. We knock it out. Oh my. We just won. There is nothing the rest of Lance's Pokemon can do. and I can teach Hyper Beam if I need it against the champion. This is really good, guys, but let's not celebrate yet. There is still a lot that can go wrong here. I would not be surprised if I were stuck for a long time. Let's hope we're not. Okay, here's Pidgeot. I'm going to go for return. One shot. Here comes Rhydon. Giga Drain. One shot. Next, Gyarados. We're going to go for Confuse Ray. Please hit your... No. Oh, well. That's okay. It was a 50-50 chance. Unfortunately, since I didn't save because I didn't want to save before, I had to battle Lance again. As it turns out, even if Gyarados hits itself in Confusion, it's not guaranteed to knock itself out. We got Twister again for some reason, which is still bizarre. I'm not sure what's going on there. And then we get a critical hit. But Aerodactyl is also a range. So that's really, really annoying. Now, at this point in my career, I had never done a solo run without items. And I thought it would be too easy if I save between Elite Four members. So like I do in my Red and Blue videos, I kept battling again and again and again and again. Which nowadays I would never do because, well, that's just tedious and this is going to be very difficult anyway. No one is disputing the fact that Shedinja is not an easy Pokemon to beat the game with. We're at level 100. Of course it's difficult. And to be quite honest, there's another important element at play. Nowadays, when I physically modify the starter to be Shedinja, I will reset to get a good nature and good IVs. So high attack IVs and something like Lonely Nature, which is plus attack minus defense, because defense doesn't matter. I didn't do that, so this Shedinja is pretty suboptimal. So with an optimal Shedinja, we would have already beaten Lance, and maybe even Gyarados. It's hard to say, but that is something important that I did learn after this run, but I would hate to have to start this run all over again. There's gotta be a way I can make it through with the Shedinja I have. Alright, so in my next attempt, I make it back to the champion, and this time, hopefully, Gyarados will hit itself in Confusion. Return one-shots Pidgeot, same as last time. Rhydon, Giga Drain will one-shot, same as last time. Still not using Hyper Beam strats, but it's an option. Alright, we go for Confuse Ray. This time it does hit itself in Confusion, and Shadow Ball doesn't knock it out. So I need either a really good range, or it needs to hit itself twice. That's really annoying. So I battle the Elite Four a few more times and keep losing to Lance, so finally I just save. Because we have to rely on luck anyway. That's the whole point of not saving. If I'm relying on luck, might as well save. Thank goodness I did that, because this would have taken forever. So now, if we get a bad range against Aerodactyl, or Gyarados doesn't hit itself in Confusion, we can just restart right away, and we know that we can beat Lance. But there's one thing I should probably mention that made saving even more relevant. For whatever reason, I seemed to overlook and forget that Dragonite knows Wing Attack. It just kept using Outrage. I figured that's all it could do. But no, it's not a 1-hit KO, and it can use Wing Attack. So there are 3 points of luck in this fight. Very annoying to get past. It took me 10 attempts to beat Lance again. That's a long time. So yeah, we just confuse Gyarados, hits itself in Confusion. We get the favorable range. That's 1 down. Next comes out Aerodactyl. We just go for Shadow Ball, get the favorable range. That's 2 down. Go for Confuse Ray. Dragonite hits itself in Confusion. Use Shadow Ball. It snaps out of Confusion, but for whatever reason, it goes for Outrage. And that is a victory. But holy moly, is that an annoying battle. 3 major points of luck. With saving, it's not too bad. Without saving, it's awful. Of course, I forget to save before the champion, so if I lose this battle, I have to do it all over again, which is fun. And here's where I realized I made a terrible mistake, because by having Hyper Beam instead of Return, we don't have Return for Pidgeot. Now, if I weren't saving between Elite Four members, this wouldn't be a big deal, because I would just reload save. But because I saved once I already had Hyper Beam, that's gonna be awful. Anyways, after 10 attempts of not beating Lance, I actually am able to defeat him in back-to-back attempts, which is really, really nice. And this time, I save. which is good, I guess. But now we need a 20% chance that Rock Tomb misses because I screwed up. Thank goodness it's not using a move like Pursuit that always hits. I don't know what I would do. But the only other option is to teach Secret Power, and as you're about to see, it doesn't do enough damage. It is 30 less base power, 32 less base power than Return. So yeah, 20% chance for missing, that's what we're going with. Go me go. Well, despite the fact Rock Tomb's supposed to miss 1 in every 5, it took me 25 attempts to get one where it actually missed. So we're going to go for Hyper Beam. We're going to knock out Pidgeot. Now here comes Rhydon. I have to recharge. Rock Tomb misses. I go for Giga Drain. I knock it out. So that's 2 down. We're not done though. Here comes Gyarados. I'm going to go for Confuse Ray. And just like that, 25 minutes down the drain. This is excruciating. Thankfully, it only takes 4 more attempts for this battle, where, unsurprisingly, I'm going to knock out Pidgeot with Hyper Beam, and then Rhydon is going to miss with Rock Tomb. But we haven't made it past Gyarados yet, and we don't even know what we're going to do against Charizard. Intimidate. Confuse Ray. It hits its Huffing Infusion, that's good. I go for Shadow Ball. We knock it out. Ooh. Now comes out Charizard. I go for Hyper Beam. We just won. We just won! I can't believe it! Hyper Beam worked! I mean, it worked! It worked! I'm so happy! I don't think that was even the best strat. I think trying for a critical hit would have been faster, but I don't care! I feel so vindicated. That was fun. That was fun. Got a lot more videos to make, so I'm gonna go. Thank you all for watching. Take care.